conference this fall. Tier 1 and Tier 2 teams, ASB leadership and advisor, second step emotional curriculum including bullying and zones of regulation, and the PBIS acknowledgement system including Wildcat of the Week, Wildcat Store, academic attendance, and behavior achievement. Goal 3 strategies support college and career readiness. The number one indicator of future success is developing positive attendance habits. An attendance team will collaborate with the PBIS team to support positive attendance practices. Staff will collaborate with educational partners to develop a school-wide plan outlining grade level activities and competencies to support college and career readiness activities. Goal 4 strategies funds support for EL, foster, and SES students, including professional development, EL facilitator, EL task force, and Wonders ELD companion. The EL task force is composed of teachers and staff interested in monitoring the progress of EL students and developing interventions to support their progress towards English language proficiency. Goal 5 strategies to improve school-to-home relationships include scheduling and hosting events for families, increasing communication, and developing relationships with community partners to support the needs of the community, students, and staff. Cedar Lane Elementary is allocated a little over $360,000 through Title I parent involvement, and targeted funds to support this plan. Welcome to the Lane, the Wildcat Way, or PAWS, our PBIS acronym. Wildcats are problem solvers, we are responsible, we work hard, and we are safe and kind. And then we have a lot of fun too. Please stop on by or give us a call if you'd like to sit down and talk with us about all the wonderful things happening out at Cedar Lane Elementary. Thank you.
Do any of the board members have any questions for Rebecca?
Those gains look really impressive. Congratulations.
We're getting there, and we spent a really solid year last year putting in a lot of Tier 1 foundational supports. And this year we're bringing in social emotional learning. The curriculum has arrived and the team has already been dabbling with it a little bit, especially the 6th grade team with the digital learning. Megan is here to support. They came in just super excited about the progress they have made and our plans to move Cedar Lane forward this year. So we appreciate you taking a look at what we're doing, and thank you for having us this evening.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our vote presentation is going to be moved to, I presume, next board meeting. They're having their open house. We move now to summer school presentations.
Hello, good evening. I'm just going to go ahead and start the presentation on summer school.
Members of the Cabinet and members of the audience. I am Amy Stratton, Director of Curriculum Assessment and Accountability. Tonight I will share with you an update on our 2022 summer school program, successfully educating all students. This year, Marysville Joint Unified School District limited the summer school program to 5 sites and offered transportation across the district. Our TK through 6th grade programs were located at Cedar Lane Elementary, Kainak Elementary, and Yuba-Sutter Elementary. Lindhurst High School and Marysville High School offered a summer school program to students in grades 7 through 12. We had a total of 66 certificated staff members and 23 classified staff members running the programs. On the last day of school, we had 1,015 students in attendance. Nutritional services provided both breakfast and lunch for all students, serving over 24,000 meals. With the support of our transportation department, we were able to ensure all of our students had a way to and from school. This commitment came in the form of 7,336 miles driven by our school bus drivers. This summer, school had a projected budget of $522,000, which was based on the cost of last year's program. But we were able to reimagine the program, add transportation, and save almost $180,000. The 22 summer school program costs just over $340,000. The breakdown of the expenditures are as follows. We spent about $300,000 on payroll, about $9,000 on supplies, and about $34,000 on transportation. When comparing the summer of 21 to the summer of 22, you can compare how differently the programs were structured. During the summer of 21, we had a summer school program at 19 sites versus the 5 sites during the summer of 22. We served about 1,700 students in 21 versus 1,000 students in 22. However, transportation was not provided in the summer of 21, and it was provided in the summer of 22. The summer school program in 21 cost Marysville Joint Unified School District about $200,000 more than the program offered in 2022. During summer school, Marysville Joint Unified School District focused on English language arts and mathematics for grades TK through 8. Our elementary sites also had enrichment activities with the addition of PE and music. During the 12 days of instruction, our pre- and post-test assessments did show growth in both language arts and mathematics, even though summer school was 12 days long. The high school program had a focus on credit recovery, and 720 credits were awarded to students. We did survey students to ask for feedback from the programs that were offered. Of the 188 responses, most of the students were in attendance because a parent or guardian requested the program, or our high school students needed to make up credits. However, we did have a number of students who attended because of friends or a self-awareness that the support was needed. When we asked students if they enjoyed the program, 80% of the 185 responses indicated that yes, they enjoyed the program. When considering the content of the program, students overwhelmingly stated that they were glad they chose the summer learning program. It was well organized, the course load was appropriate, and students did feel that they learned. I would like to offer special thanks to the following people for their efforts for a successful summer program. Site principals Jordan Holmes, Monica Reyna, Scott Jackson, Naomi Arroyo Magana, and our site principal and summer school coordinator, Jody Buda. I also need to acknowledge all the work from our 66 certificated staff, 23 classified staff, the nutritional services department, and the entire transportation department. Without the support of these dedicated staff members, we would not have been able to provide such a well-rounded experience for our students. Thank you. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. The one question I have is, would we have had more students if we'd had more sites open?
There is a possibility we probably would have had more sites. However, we did our best to offer the opportunity to all students by providing that transportation. And so we made it available to everybody who needed it.
So
The savings was because we were at 5 sites rather than 19 sites.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Just curious why the enrollment dropped by 700?
I have a couple of thoughts on that. My first thought was that we had more families who wanted their kids in summer school last year, coming right out of COVID when schools were starting to open up more. And this year, the fact that kids were actually in school all year, it's very possible that some of that was also due to a reflection of the parents wanted their kids home, the kids wanted to be home. So it could be the sites, but I also have a feeling some of it was just the families were just wanting to have their kids home.
Could I add a clarification? Amy, if we had the sign-up happening online with the principals,
Yes.
correct? We made every effort
Yes,
to
we
have
did.
as many students as possible. I don't think the location reduction had any impact. We just didn't have the sign-ups.
Right, and we sent out the signups through our mass dialer, and we kept asking for the parents who wanted their kids in summer school. And at some point, we closed the attendance so we could plan, because we had to figure out how many teachers we needed, how many staff we needed. But we kept a wait list, and as the kids came, we kept filling with the wait list. So I do believe we actually served every kid from every parent who wanted their kid in summer school.
Thank you. Any other questions for Amy? Very nice report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have updates by department, business services.
Hi, good evening. So my updates tonight are really in the facilities area. We have a big news with our BOGA. They were able to have their open house tonight in the new multipurpose room, and the teachers were able to start moving into their classrooms in the brand-new building, so that's really exciting. And I want to thank Doug Trower for all of his hard work to get everything lined up, and then also Kelly O'Rourke and Brian Horn for the furniture and ensuring we have all of our chairs and tables and all the great stuff that goes along with the classroom building. Also, we have an update on the Marysville High Track. I've walked it with our construction manager, Kevin Little, and he is starting to work up some plans and giving us some options and what that will look like to explore renovating the track. And then also tonight we have PBK here to give us an update on our facilities master plan progress and Site Logic on the progress with all the solar panel projects that are going on around the district. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Education services.
I haven't mastered the mic yet. As you know, it's arguably the most busiest time of the year with school opening just a few days away. I'm exceedingly proud of the educational services team and of school leaders and staff, teachers for the Herculean task of getting ready for school for our 10,000 plus students. And as you know, we've talked about it before, these last couple of weeks, we have had just countless training sessions for multiple employee groups, be it teachers, preschool workers, our ACES and STAR employees, our paraeducators, our administrators. And I just want to give a shout out to not just the educational leaders, my staff, but also to MUTA and the PDC, because it's through this collaborative effort that we're able to provide what I think is just very tailored learning opportunities for the staff members who are then entrusted to serve our kiddos across the district. I really noticed just a real sense of energy in the rooms that I've attended. I think I've gone to just about every single training that has occurred, in part just to introduce myself and welcome folks, but just to also learn more about what's happening here. And again, I continue to be impressed and happy to be a part of the work. Lastly, I was delighted to attend the early college orientation this past week at Yuba College. And I was happy to see both our high school principals there, Mr. Schultz and Mr. Vujovic, as well as our new college and career director, Jamie Larson. Again, Mr. David Bagley, Professor Bagley, was the gentleman who presided over the orientation for our students and their families. And just the energy that he presented and the commitment that he displayed for this program was just inspiring to me, and equally so for the attendees who were there. It's no doubt that the early college program is a great feather in our cap as a district, but more importantly, it really serves our students and their families to inspire them with the dream of post-secondary college education. So that's the report. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Personnel services.
Good evening, trustees, Superintendent Azrani. Thank you. We have been really busy trying to fill remaining vacancies for certificated and classified. We continue to chip away at the teaching vacancies. We filled 2 more today, and we won't stop when school starts. We'll continue working to ensure we have credentialed staff in front of our kids. We also have secured long-term substitutes in the meantime for those positions, and we do have the flexibility. The state's continued the flexibility to allow long-term substitutes to stay in a classroom for 60 consecutive days, which will help with consistency for our students. We are going to be working on a partnership with Beale Air Force Base to work with the spouses of military personnel to try to attract some of them to some of our positions in the district. So I'll keep you updated on that. That's coming up in September. We'll have a hiring event with them, which we're excited about. We continue to work as a cabinet and support staff in the district office as well to monitor enrollment. We'll do that every day, probably for the next 3 weeks, to make sure we have teachers in the right places where the kids are. So thanks to everybody for that collaborative effort. Thanks to Brian Williams, we had to do a lot of big tasks regarding enrollment. He pulls the data up, lickety-split, and gives us that information. So I want to acknowledge the work of him and his team as well. And we're going to be bringing to the board some information about a Pathways to Teaching program that we're getting ready to launch that will support our candidates who are not in a credential program yet, but we want to make sure they get there. So it's a method of support for those folks. So we'll give you an informational presentation at the next meeting. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the board?
Thank you. So first, I would like to give a big welcome to all our staff. And as you know, we've hired some excellent folks, both teachers, classified, and administrators. And I will say that we do feel a huge energy across the district. It's just so exciting to see so many new faces and new positions. I'd like to also reach out to Mr. Wells for doing these desks and making sure that this kind of work can be done by our students. I think that's wonderful. Thank you, Doug, for bringing that idea to us. And also thank you to Doug and his team for cleaning up all the schools and getting us ready. So we really appreciate everything that you do. Would also like to give a special thank you to Chris and Liz, 2 staff members up in the Student Services office. If you remember back in January, we did a presentation where we showed that every year the district has been kind of not really didn't have a process in place where we stopped the inter-district permits where students were leaving our district for other schools around us, other districts around us. This year, since we did that presentation and the processes that were put in place, we had 37 only this year that were permitted to leave. And that's huge because we have wonderful schools, and when we allow our students to say that this is not good enough for them and they have to go to somewhere else, it makes us sit up and take stock of why are we not good enough? What do we need to do? So I'm really proud that they were able to share the wealth with our parents, and our parents chose to stay back with us. Excellent job on professional development. I second everything that was said by Mr. Trujillo. We had a wonderful partnership, as you saw at the admin retreat especially. It was great, and we had Angela sit with us the entire 2 days. I mean, that lady has some courage. She put up with 65 admin by sitting by herself. And so that was great. And right? That takes a lot of courage. And we do thank you very much, Ms. Hasty and Mr. Crawford, for coming and joining us in the first session. And of course, Adam Pitt stayed with us the first day for the first session as well. So that was great. And we're really proud of Loma Rica School. I don't know, I would invite the board, if you have time, to jump in my car, or if you feel like a drive up there by yourself. We are back in that historic, beautiful building. It is so exciting to see the classrooms done up again. It looks like it should be. So no more portables, no more kids in portables. They're back in the classroom. Another big shout out to John Upton as well as Doug Trower for their limitless help with Loma Rica. You just have to see Ashley to see how happy she is about that campus. Again, the PD days were fantastic. I attended almost every session. I walked through as many as I could, and teachers really looked engaged. And that was exciting. It was for them, and that they found it valuable was important. I would also like to say that a big thank you, and I second what Angela said. She took the words out of my mouth. I've been saying that at every meeting, that they had choices to go to some other district, and they chose to come to us. And we thank them for that. We must be a very good district, right? Because we have all these people coming to work for us. It must be working well. So thank you, everybody, for being welcoming and kind and honest and, most importantly, respectful. I think relationships go a long way for people to understand this is a good place to be. And tomorrow, we will be hosting the district-wide student leadership. So proud of that. I think there's 45 to 50 students with Dr. Amy Murray leading the Leader in Me training. As you might be aware, we are here to serve our students. And our students' voice should be driving our decisions. And so last year, we created the student leadership group, and all the schools sent us their ASB, MCA sent us theirs. Then we went beyond the ASB and also had the other leaders like FFA and such. This year, we've opened up to middle school. So we are building the student voice in this district because honestly, I think we listen a lot to the adults and don't really listen to our kids. And we need to do more of that because we are here to serve our kids. On that note, I wish everybody a wonderful year ahead. Let's have some fun and let's do what we do best, which is anything that's required to make our children successful. And our families and our parents trust us for sending us their children. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? So now we move to the consent agenda, and we have two items we're pulling. I keep skipping. Excuse me, I'm trying to get through this a little too fast. We have now the approval of minutes, the August 9th, 2022 board meeting. Are there any corrections, additions to the minutes that any of the board members have? If not, do I hear a motion? Sorry, what'd you have, Angela? Oh.
Oops.
Thank you. I'm just reading the script. Yeah. And it's not going well tonight. It's, what is it?
It says right here.
July 19th.
Huh, not interesting. Okay, I'll read the bottom line. We're trying to approve the minutes from the July 19th regular board meeting. Minutes. Are there any additions, corrections? If not, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion approved by Randy Rasmussen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention. So it is approved 5-1 with one abstained. And Jeff Broom is absent. Okay. Now, we have the consent agenda. I've been trying to get there all night. Okay, we have two items that we want to change on the consent agenda. It's 14.1, which is a certified employment. We have a correction that Michael Hart is not resigning. Oh. Okay. We're rescinding his application. Sorry about that. It's Michael Hart. We're rescinding his application. And then we have 14.4, where we're rescinding Sarah Hall's application. Are there any other items on the consent agenda anybody wants to pull? Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. The correction for Sarah Hall on 14.4 is that we are accepting the rescission of her resignation. So she's going to rescind her resignation, and we're glad to have her back.
Okay. Okay, correction, we're rescinding her resignation, and that's Ms. Hall. Okay. All righty. Any other items that the board would like to pull from the consent agenda? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve consent.
Motion to approve by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second. Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Now we move to new business. We have 16.1, approve resolution 2022-23/05, adopting and approving the associate membership agreement joining with the Education Technology Joint Powers Authority. Do we have any information on that?
Yes, thank you. So the EdTech JPA is a purchasing mechanism that allows us to take advantage of deals that are RFPs that go out on a much larger scale. We have districts like San Juan and Clovis and others that are part of this. So they go out to RFP for a number of different items. They'll be going out for nutrition management services, software soon, student information systems, social emotional, just about anything that we use on the computer in a school district, they'll go out for an RFP. Once we're a member of this, we can take advantage of those contracts that they actually provide. So we find a product, and it's more than one product that they have contracts with in each of the different areas. If we look at one and find one that we like, we'll be able to take advantage of the pricing that they worked out using a much larger number of students and staff than what we're able to do on our own. So it's a nice, convenient purchasing mechanism. It costs us absolutely nothing to join right now. The expectation is it will provide us savings in the lower costs that we can get on applications and things like that in the future.
Is there any financial obligation?
Nothing at all. No.
Are there any other questions for Brian? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second. Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Now we're at 17.1, hold public hearing 2020-21 initial bargaining proposal from CSEA number 648 to MJUSD. Do we have any comment?
I think it's working. Yep. So thank you. This is a series, one in a series of Sunshines or public hearings to present the bargaining proposals from the district and our bargaining unit chapters. So we open and close each public hearing for each item, allow, if needed, any public comment, and then we'll bring them back at the next meeting for action or approval. So no action other than to open and close a public hearing for each item.
Do we have a representative here from that unit?
I don't believe so, no.
So is there any questions the board would like to ask Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Motion closed by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing closed. Now we have 17.2, hold public hearing 2022-21 initial bargaining proposal from MJUSD to CSEA number 648.
So again, that's the district's proposal to the same chapter. The previous item was their proposal to us.
Are there any questions from the board?
We want to make sure that we voice that we open a public hearing, pause to allow for public comment, and then close the public hearing for each of these items regarding sunshining.
Any questions?
Can I just point out that this is for the 2020-2021 school year?
That's correct. Yeah, we verified that date. That year for those items that are being sunshine has not been negotiated yet.
Do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second. Second by Ms. Hasty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Hearing closed. 17.3, hold a public hearing, 2021-22 initial bargaining proposal from MJUSD to CSEA number 36. We're opening a hearing. Are there any representatives? If not, are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second. Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing closed. 6-0. Now we have 17.4, hold public hearing, 2022-23, initial bargaining proposal from MJUSD to OE3. Public hearing is now open. Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Motion to close by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second. Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hearing closed, 6-0. Now we're at 17.5, public notice for provisional internship permits. Do you have a comment?
So this is an item to approve the provisional internship permits for these 3 employees. The California Commission on Teacher Credentialing dictates that this cannot be a consent item. That's why it's listed separately as action, as well as the variable term waiver item that's coming up next.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hasty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0. 17.6, approve the 2022-23 variable term waivers. Mr. Simon.
This is to support 2 new hire employees that need these waivers to be appropriately credentialed in the classroom.
Are there any questions for Mr. Simon, Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. Now we're at 17.7, approved declaration and finding regarding need for temporary staffing flexibility. Executive Order N3-22.
Yes, this is an executive, this is a declaration that our superintendent, Dr. Ezrani, has drafted and brought before you for action. It's based off of an executive order by our governor of our state. He originally made that order in January, but we continue to face, as we do across the state, challenges in filling vacant positions due to COVID-19 and everything related to that. So this will be the board approving and acknowledging that this continues to be a challenge in our district and other districts as well.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0. 17.8, approve the agreement with Inform K-12.
So
Do we have any information?
there's information in the packet, but this is me again. The promise is my last item under new business. We have Inform K-12 is a company that will allow us to automate many of our personnel practices in our office that travel through many departments. Right now, for instance, a position control form to change a position budget profile or to add a new position has to physically travel from mailbox to mailbox around the district and can take anywhere from 10 to 20 work days, which means the whole time that position isn't changed, budgeted appropriately, or isn't posted. So having the Inform K-12 platform, it's similar to, I say it's like DocuSign on steroids. It's like really pumped up DocuSign. Will allow that document to electronically travel with coordination of all of our departments and get signed off within about 48 hours.
Are there any questions for Dr. Simon?
Yes. Do you have a projected savings on what this could potentially be worth to your department?
I think that the savings really, the benefit of it is as far as the product we give to our clients, or our customers, our students, and our staff. We would more quickly, in most cases, be able to get a properly certified or an appropriate person in a position versus a substitute, or just leaving a position vacant. that will benefit our students and our staff members. That's the biggest benefit I can see, as well as helping the productivity of already productive departments increase, because it's just less of a labor-intensive process.
Is the program, is it an annual renewal of approximately this amount?
Yeah, the amount will be, I believe, about $12,000 less after the first year.
Okay.
The initial year, there's an add-on cost for training, but it will be an annual item that we will bring back each year. We can do up to 10 forms at this rate, which is not the number of processes we'll implement this year. Each form could take 6 to 10 weeks to implement, because you want it to do well and you want to pilot it. So I think those 10 forms will go into next year as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brian, have you looked at this program?
Yes, and I think it's going to greatly improve the efficiency of multiple departments as we go through this. It's going to be a very nice thing to have.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Dr. Simon? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Gary Criddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. Now we're at 18.1. Energy Service Program Update with SiteLogic. Do we have SiteLogic here?
Has brought the program that we're undertaking right now to the district, and I just want to give you an update. Some of this is a little out of date, so I'm just pulling up my notes because it was due pretty early on, but thank you for getting it started for me. Go ahead to the next slide. So again, my name is Jennifer Butler. I know you've all seen me. Oh, thank you so much. I know you've all seen me quite a few times, but Ryan is also here and he's going to talk about that. Just a quick overview on the revitalization of all your campuses. We have complete over 330 HVAC units, the 7,000 lighting fixtures, both internal and external, the bipolar ionization units, and the 725 thermostats with the CO2 sensors. Additionally, for the phase 1 completion, Browns Valley construction is complete, and the system was online on 2/16 of 22 and generating energy. The Cordoa construction is complete, and the system was online as of February. This structure is complete with major electrical complete, finaling the cleanup and ADA upgrades, but that's all been done now since I have submitted this, and we are generating. At Ella, also online now, although this says in 1 to 2 months, but it is actually online. And McKinney is complete and online and generating energy. And Kainak, if I say that correctly, this is complete. This interconnection with PG&E has not been turned on yet, but is expected to at any time. And then Olivehurst, we are also waiting for just the permission to operate. PG&E has told us they're about a month or 2 behind, but not because of any issues, just because of manpower. So that interconnection will be on here shortly. And then these are also under construction. They are also a little bit behind on getting the permission to operate, but I'll give you an update just after that. This one is online and producing, so that is fantastic. And over the summer, we've been working on Edgewater. We've started the mobilization there, and as you can see, the arrays that have gone up here. We are finalizing the location for the Marysville High School pool array, which Doug and Jennifer have been very helpful in helping us get to that. And then engineering is still underway for the last 3 installations. So those are all going according to plan, and we are moving forward. As far as some really fun, great news that I love the most, sorry about all you engineers, but this is my favorite part. We had a really, really great Earth Day at, where were we? Arboga, thank you. And we did a Earth Day study with the 5th and 6th graders, and we had a great time. So we did a whole rotating session blocks of education with students, anything from blender bikes to solar-powered vehicles to generating energy and recycling and so forth. And that was just an amazing, amazing day, because the amount of energy these kids have, if we could ever harness that much energy, that would be really incredible. But what was really nice was how engaged both the teachers were and the students. They were just really, really, really wonderful. Additionally, we had a development day, professional development day for the teachers that are going to be incorporating STEM education into their curriculum this year. And so we had a full day with them where we did both lecture and hands-on training of how to bring sustainability into the classroom. And we had so much fun. We actually took a bus afterwards, and we went to Sierra Nevada and had dinner and had a tour there, because that's a sustainable facility. But we had a great time. So unless you have questions for me, I'm going to be back up again in just a little bit to talk about the CalShape grant briefly. But I do want to just get the board and the superintendent thinking about probably at the end of the year doing a nice community open social where we could do a ribbon cutting for some of the solar, maybe some ice cream and different things to really celebrate what the district has achieved. This, I do get the chills, so forgive me, but I work with so many districts, and your staff is unbelievable. Like, I even get a little teary-eyed because it's so meaningful and it has such a resounding impact when you work with people who are collaborators and they're responsive. This project is huge, and it cannot have gone as well as it has so far, knocking on wood, without their assistance. And Doug and Jennifer and other people on their staff have just been phenomenal, and I hope that they get lots of kudos outside of just here, because they've been great. So then I'm going to pass on the rest of the presentation to Ryan. He's your energy manager. All right, thank you.
Good evening. Like Jennifer said, I've been serving as energy manager for the district since November, and I just want to give a little bit of an update on actual results as far as energy and what that is looking like. And so forgive me, the slides are a little bit out of date just because I got some more data through the end of the academic year, so through the end of June. So I figured I'd give you that update with that data in mind. So the good news is, as you may remember, as I've mentioned before, anytime you measure energy savings, you have to pick a year, a time period to measure against, what I call the baseline year. And for Marysville, we're looking at 2018, 2019 as the baseline year because it's before the pandemic. And so when you compare the total energy used on campuses across the district to 2018, 2019, we've used 17% less energy than we did during that 2018-2019 year. And just as a reminder as to some of the milestones we've hit, we didn't didn't complete all of the non-solar equipment installation until I think December, middle of December, or maybe even over that winter break. It was when we put in the last set of thermostats. We didn't have any solar generating until February, and those were 2 of the smaller sites in Browns Valley and Cordova. And obviously, as you heard earlier, we still have a long ways to go as far as the solar. So with all of that in mind, a 17% reduction, I think, is really quite excellent. And when you think about that in the context of also what I'm sure all of you are aware of, which is how much energy rates have gone up, over just the last year, we're seeing over a 20% increase in electric rates. And since the baseline year for natural gas, we're seeing in the ballpark of 30 or 40% increase. So a 17% reduction is huge. And like I said, it's really just the start when you consider what we still have left to complete as far as the solar. So from my perspective as the energy manager, I think that we're off to a really good start, and I think having a full academic year is going to really realize some good results. Just a couple of other statistics just for your information. Just as a snapshot, in May we had I think 4 sites that were operating solar, and I'm estimating they produced about $10,000 worth of energy. And so, again, very early in that process, but kind of wanted to give you a feel for what that's looking like as far as savings, and we're expecting, good things moving forward. And then lastly, I just want to do some acknowledgments with a district of this size, especially when a lot of our savings come from, with the new thermostats, scheduling facilities, especially in breaks, summertime, things like that, when there's a lower occupancy. That can't be done just by one person, especially in a district of the size. So big kudos goes to Doug and his team. I can't do that without them. Big kudos to the custodial team for being aware, hey, maybe we don't cool down rooms that I'm not going to be in today, right? Let me not go override a thermostat and things like that. So awareness by that team helps us hit the district's goals. Also kudos to the teachers, of course, because again, if they have to come in, just being aware of when do I need to use energy and things of that nature, all of that contributes to the savings goals we're seeing. And then lastly, touching on the events that we did, like Jennifer was talking about, as far as education for both the students and the teachers. Big props to Alicia Wright and Amy for helping us facilitate those. Those went off without a hitch, and that was because of their involvement. So, like I said, it's really exciting to move into the next year. I think we're going to see good results. From a scheduling and an energy management perspective, the things I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, the summertime can be some of the most exciting times, because that's, like I said, that's when I have the ability to try to figure out what rooms are occupied, where are there opportunities for reducing our energy usage. And so I think even moving into, in a couple months from now, we'll see how July looked and how we did. So that's my update, and I think, are there any questions for me or for Jennifer?
I do have just a couple, Ryan, thank you. So when we first started this, started this project, one of the big selling points was that it was going to be cost neutral. Mm-hmm. Do we have a projection of what year we're going to start looking at this cost savings that's going to be able to offset our annual payment on the loan that we took out to start this project?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll take that if you don't mind.
Sure.
It's all you.
So in the cash flow analysis that we presented to the board for consideration and approval, it has the construction phase wrapping up at the end of 2023, and that's when there should be the full compensation that you were expecting to see, that savings versus the payments. I believe, though, that the payments were done on a deferred 2-year deferment. Do you remember, Jen?
I believe they start this year.
They started this year. Yeah, so the idea is that by 2023, we're all caught up. We do have some more grant money coming in that will also help set that off, but as far as meeting the goal, as of right now, we are definitely on goal to be both on time and on point for savings. Yeah. And when we get to that point where we have everything up and running, we'll do a really nice presentation which will really demonstrate those two things with a real PG&E bill.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. Actually, a couple other questions.
Sure.
So like when we mentioned about the Marysville High School parking area, are all those fences going to be down come Thursday so all the people can park there?
I don't know that. Doug, do you know?
Yeah, so I spoke with Mike Rubino, and he gave us a list of areas that would be finished. We won't be completely, all the fences won't be completely down. There's areas where they'll need to keep some parking lots blocked off to allow access to be able to do the hookups for the solar panels. But the majority of the fencing will be down.
So I'm just saying, have we then, maybe has a notice went out to the students of Marysville High School that said if you can't park here, park here?
We've informed the site of what that parking lot was going to look like. I can't say that they have informed the students. I have talked to the principal, no, well, not the principal, but Alicia Wright about what we may have to do with the parking, but I think we'll be able to get all the kids in the parking lot.
And thank you, Doug. So Ms. Butler, back on the page when you talked about the 330 HVAC units and 7,000 plus light fixtures, are we complete with that phase, and right now we're just looking at putting in all the solar?
That's correct. The only thing that we have ongoing right now is the solar installation and the ongoing energy management.
Then my last question would be the programs like you did at Arboga and the ones that Ryan you'd talked about. So how many years do those continue?
They actually continue for the next 10, but your solar operations and maintenance and the energy management side is for 20.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
The question I have for you is, you had up there at almost 20% as a savings, rough. What can we expect when it's fully operational? Are we looking at 50%? Are we looking at 60%?
We're looking at an offset of 85% of the energy consumption when we started. And so I just want to really make sure we're clear. We're looking to offset 85% of the energy. It's not going to be 85% of the cost because PG&E, as Ryan alluded to, has just been approved 3 new price increases. But we'll continue through the energy management program to tackle those costs in a lot of ways. So our baseline will be of when we started, but it will be, my expectation is that the 85% is going to be well exceeded when we get all the solar in. So I think there will be additional fiscal gains that we haven't identified yet.
So we saw that push by PG&E to basically eliminate the solar program.
Yeah.
Private or other than theirs. Has that been resolved?
And what is that?
When the PG&E proposed all these regulations for anybody putting on solar, cutting them off, charging them for producing.
No. Yeah.
I never saw that resolved.
Yes, so that's a great question, and we're all waiting to hear. So there was quite an uproar from the Californians, in particular because the state does mandate that public buildings be zero net energy by 2030, while simultaneously allowing PG&E to change their policy to make it less attractive for us to all achieve that mandate. So they got kind of kicked in, they've gone back to lick their wounds, and they have started to put it back on the agenda, and it's supposed to come back revised, where it's more favorable for those of us that do have solar. The good news is, though, Mr. Davis, is that this district is grandfathered into the old payment structure. So we're good. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Great.
Great presentation.
Great. Thank you.
Now we have 18.2 PBK Architects Facilities Master Plan Update. PBK?
Good evening. Members of the board, President Davis, Dr. Hassani, thank you for allowing myself and Max Medina from PBK Architects to give you an update on the facilities master plan that you commissioned us to do last year. We started the process in the fall of last year, and I wanted to give you an update on where we are, where we've gone, and what steps, what we've encountered, and what steps are still to come to take place. Back in the fall, we started with the process of data gathering as part of our master plan. Our first step is to gather as much data as we can. That includes information on all the school sites, insurance reports, square footages. It includes demographic studies. It includes enrollment, both current and projected. And we've completed that data collection phase. We moved into a facility condition assessment phase where our team went to every school in the district, including the district office here, and we assessed architecturally, mechanically, electrically, fire alarm, accessibility deficiencies. We assessed each school in each of those categories so that we could get a clear picture of the existing condition of each facility. We completed that phase and we moved into a visioning and educational framework phase. This includes community surveys. It included surveys, questionnaires with principals, with teachers, with students. It includes having a workshop. We provided a workshop with the facility advisory committee and people in the community to gain a vision of what was important to the district, what types of spaces the district was looking for, visioning, long-term outlook on what you want the district to look like in years to come. And we completed that phase as well. We moved into the development of the master plan, where we take all the previous steps that we performed, the condition assessment, all the data gathering, and the visioning, and what's important to the district. And we synthesize that as best we can to provide what work scopes really need to happen, both immediately and long-term for the district. And that all goes into developing our master plan. And we are on the threshold of completing that this month and moving into the last phase, which is where we present that to the facility advisory committee and get some feedback on them confirming what is the priority. We've present to them what we feel is an accurate depiction of where the priorities lie, and we get feedback, and we can make some massaging and changes as needed to implement then the final completion of the master plan. So that's where we are right now. We are in the process of completing that this month, and so in the next month or two, the final draft will also be completed, and that will be delivered to the district. I wanted to give you a snapshot of several schools in the district that kind of gives you a flavor of kind of where we landed on several schools and the priorities that we saw. And I'll try to make this brief. I'll only go through 7 of them. I chose these 7. I chose 3 elementary schools, 2 intermediate schools, and both high schools to kind of give a broad description of kind of what we're looking at in the master plan work scopes. And I kind of want to touch on the priorities, the high priority items, but also ones that might have a larger ticket item, or something that was expressed that seemed like the district really needed or wanted to proceed with implementation. The schools that I want to just briefly touch on are the ones that are underlined here in this slide. Cedar Lane, Edgewood Elementary, Foothill Intermediate, Kainak Elementary, Lindhurst and Marysville High Schools, and Yuba Gardens. And this is a snapshot of the priority. When we did our assessment and combined what we felt like the district was looking at and the needs that they have, we put them into priorities 1, 2, and 3. 1 meaning a priority that was eminently needed. 2 was something that needed to be done in the next probably 2 to 5 years, and priority 3 in the next 6 to 10 years. So you can kind of see a breakdown of the work scopes that we came up with in the 3 priorities, and then a grand total for each school. Obviously, these are not. This is not a complete list, and it's not a list that everything will be done on the list as well. But it gives the district the ability to see what could be done and to prioritize what they want to do. First one I want to briefly look at is Cedar Lane Elementary. Cedar Lane Elementary has an older, lower campus, and so there's some modernization that we felt was needed at the lower campus on the exterior wall envelope, window replacements, and also in wings C and D in the orange there, interior renovations as well. In these slides, just as a precursor, as you see in the legend there, and I'll go through these quicker as I go through, but you can kind of get a snapshot of the work scope and the intensity of work, if you will, based on the legend. Spaces that are not colored are existing that really have no work that is needed eminently right now. Yellow is light modernization work, orange is moderate, and red is a major modernization. Blue is areas or buildings that would be constructed new. Purple is a reconfiguration or a repurpose. Sometimes it's an expansion of the existing space. There's demolition, which is dashed, and then some site upgrades, which are cross-hatched green, and there's also cross-hatched gray, which it's not in the legend, but that designates hardscape or paving upgrades. The other one I wanted to highlight was Edgewater Elementary School, and primarily this is a newer school, but the portable classrooms are not in the best shape, and so we are recommending some modernization, interior work of those schools, but then also ultimately, as is depicted, to long-term range, to remove those portable classrooms and replace them with either modular classrooms or stick-built classrooms that would serve the school better. The third school I wanted to highlight was Kainak Elementary School. Kainak is an older school as well, and the main portions of the building, as you can see, are colored in red, which have major renovations. Both exterior and interior, including walls, paint, walls, floors, and ceilings, and casework. The roofs are also in need of replacement at some point soon. And then we also have at this school a good amount of purple, which is repurposing or reconfiguring spaces to reconfigure for either TK or kindergarten classrooms that need expansion because of enrollment capacity that is projected, but also some additional renovation of a new music room and an innovation space in a student support and wellness center in the main building. And the new buildings designated with number 4 is the kindergarten and TK classrooms that include an outdoor play area. You'll also notice work scope number 7, which is new outdoor learning spaces. We were trying, that was one of the priority items through our workshops that we got, that there was a desire to incorporate outdoor learning spaces with classrooms. And so we've tried to incorporate that into the master plan at a majority of the schools to give those students the indoor-outdoor experience as well. And you can see in this plan, it's sprinkled throughout the entirety of the existing building. Next, I wanted to highlight Foothill Intermediate School. Foothill is obviously has been under a lot of discussion, and I wanted to highlight that mainly because there is some proposals out there, and we are aware of the desire to and the need to really gut the interior of Foothill Intermediate School in its entirety and rebuild the interior to make it more life safety friendly and to enhance the space. And also the need to have additional square footage, whether that be additional admin or even the possibility of having a multipurpose room that is added on to it and then repurposing the multipurpose room that's existing there now. But there's a lot of options, obviously, with new construction and expansion that will work through. But we're showing a basic interpretation of additional square footage with the major remodel. There's also a lot of paving work that is required here as well to get the drop-off, bus and parent drop-off corrected, if you will, and good working order, and also accessibility from the parking lot up to the building is lacking. Moving on to Yuba Gardens Middle School. Yuba Gardens, again, is an older, the guts of the school, the main school is an older building. As you can see, there's major modernization that is required on the exterior and also on the interior roof renovation and replacement as well. This also has portable classrooms that we are recommending to be demolished in the near future and replaced with either modulars or stick-built, site-built construction. And that also includes some outdoor learning spaces with those classrooms as well. Moving on to the high schools, Lindhurst High School has, as you know, multiple buildings. Building C is the one that is in red that is in the need of most work. It needs modernization on the interior and the exterior, and the restrooms need to be renovated pretty heavily. Building E needs interior and exterior work. Building F needs interior and exterior work as well. Building G, interior and exterior. The gym, locker rooms need a good amount of interior renovation and work required, as well as some work in the foyer. Building H and the kitchen and cafeteria both need interior work. This also has work scope that was specifically desired by the district to replace the press box and also the bleachers at the football field, and also the need to provide accessibility, a path of travel out to that space. It's cumbersome and lacking right now. Moving on to Marysville High School. Again, the legacy historic part of the campus has a lot of interior work that could be renovated, including the bathrooms as is depicted in the orange color. We also are looking at putting in some outdoor learning space in the large courtyard, which would really enhance that building as well. The other spaces, the field house, work scope number 4, needs a lot of work. Renovation and reconfiguring of the interior spaces it's very cumbersome. That weight room is very cumbersome, and there's gaps in the floors that you can see daylight coming in through the old gym floor. Building work scope 7 does have, even though that's a newer building, that does have multiple ceiling tile stains which depict a leak either in the roof system or the mechanical system. They are on the first floor, and so it's very likely the mechanical system. So there's a mechanical evaluation that is needed at that location as well. The last item at Marysville High School was the concession stand is in need of some work as well at the football field. So that concludes an update. Thank you for your time. Do you have any questions for us?
Any questions from the board? I guess the one...
No, go ahead.
The one question I'd have is looking at, I mean, this is $500 million of work. I mean, just to start is $210 million if we were to tackle it all. What projects should we be looking at just to show people we're doing something? I mean, to me, you know, some of these projects, we have to wait for a bond or, you know, somebody to come in with a lot of money, but how have you looked at each one of these campuses and given I mean, and this might be part of your, you know, part of your evaluation, your census and stuff, where do you start? I mean, you've got your priorities, but within those priorities, there are millions of dollars. And so the question is, okay, how do we sort through those big numbers to find stuff that we actually can afford.
That's where there's when we deliver the ultimate master plan documents, it has a lot more information, obviously, and that's where working with, I believe it would probably be your Facilities Advisory Committee, you know, we would be happy to work with them even at helping prioritize what those things are. And we've gotten already some good help from, you know, facilities, from Doug, and we've seen the mechanical upgrades that have already happened. So a lot of those, as you recall, you know, in our facility condition assessment, we had a lot of those mechanical upgrades listed. Those kind of fell off because a lot of those have already been taken care of. So, it takes. I think it's just an evaluation. It's time consuming to talk about what the district has as priorities. That's really I think what it comes down to, and we give those from our perception. We start the ball rolling with what those priorities are from what we see listed, you know, with priorities 1, 2, or 3, but I think that is just a starting point. It just requires an evaluation at each site to determine.
Well, one of the things I see that's missing is any mention of the Marysville track. Well, I'm just looking at his map.
Yeah, it is listed in there, and I think it's
there it is. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Now that I've got light on it, I can see it.
Yeah, it is work scope 12.
Okay. And like I said, I mean, from what we're hearing from our local public, they're absolutely up in arms that we have not taken care of that facility. I mean, to me, it's been a safety hazard for years.
Yeah.
And we've just been fortunate enough not to get sued over somebody.
Well, and the fact that it's not regulation size, and so the aspect of replacing it completely is a very bona fide possibility if that's where the district desires to go as well. So that's part of our work scope is, I mean, we're doing a track replacement, hearing that, you know, the possibility that it might be ripped out altogether and redone because it needs to be resized. Because you can't hold, currently you can't hold any meets here because it's not the right size.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Some of our schools aren't listed in the packet, but they're
Correct.
listed on the list. So does that mean?
It's just because of time of presenting it this evening. I just chose these 7, just myself. Obviously, there's 22 there's 22 schools that we evaluated, and those are included in the facilities master plan report. So this is what I just picked out to present tonight. That just as a representation of the whole.
Thank you.
I would add, in a word, you have just witnessed some sort of prioritization. It's a conversation that we had amongst ourselves to show it to present. In other words, if you ask us today, what would you recommend because we only have so much money, that's kind of a snapshot, but it's really a conversation. And you just demonstrated one example, which is the track out here. On paper, it shows replacement. On cost and use, it shows dire need. And what's needed is the emotion behind that, the conversation, to say which ones are next. And it doesn't mean it's always the most expensive one or not. It might be just a community saying, this is more important than X. Okay? But we have all the data now to do that. That's key. So will this, the final document that you produce, is it going to have those costs? Yes. Do you have a plan? Because it sounded like you said we still are months away from getting this final document. No. I thought when we started into this contract, I thought July was going to be our date to have a final product, and obviously I'm wrong.
It'll be, originally, yes, it was July. It will be by the end of this month. We will have the final draft done.
I thought you said it's going to go to the facilities committee, and they're going to talk about it and revise it and then bring it back, and so are we having it by the end of October?
That feasibly would happen this month. We would give the draft to them this month, and if they have comments, if we need to, discuss it further, then yes, it might prolong a little bit more after that, but it's basically in its complete final form by the end of this month.
I think our district's ready to move forward on items, and I think this document's really holding us up, and that's very concerning to me.
We'll get it done, and I think the passion part about now we have the data is to hear comments such as that, and those rise those priorities up, and I think that's really the last part we're doing right now. I want to say it's the fun part, I guess, to see what you really want to get done right away. And those rise.
I was just, if I'm thinking, if we're thinking about the track as being an important item, are we comfortable for waiting to see when this thing?
Watching you on TV.
Thought I had that turned off, obviously not. Are we comfortable waiting for this document, or are we going to give direction to Dr. Israni to try to move forward to figure out what we need to do?
Well, we're this far into it, I want to wait for the document, but if it goes beyond 60 days, I'm not going to be happy. I'm with you. And it seems to be dragged on and on. Randy and I were aboard with this years ago. See this document. I remember now, July was the date, in July. Here it is, August.
I'd like to make a quick comment, if that's okay. I think we appreciate the document that PBK has been giving us, but what's also important is we have been talking to PBK regularly. I think Jennifer has been constantly in touch with some of the discussions we're having. I do think that we ourselves have had a discussion about certain aspects of the district that required immediate attention. We mentioned that we've done a tremendous job with Loma Rica being back on campus. That wasn't mentioned as part of this. I think what's important to note is that the district is also very aware of what our needs are. And I would think that this document guides our thinking, but it would be not really fair to say that our facilities committee or our group is not aware of our needs. And so to that impact, I think we will definitely get the document from them. They'll come back to the facilities committee, but we have some priorities. As you've seen, we've already approved, the board approved Foothill construction to start, and we've already moved in that conversation. I go back to Arboga being finished. Covalard was board's direction. It's already moving. And so I think we are ready to take some direction on the Marysville track. I think that's been a conversation. It's a safety, like you mentioned. It's a classroom instructional space. PE and athletics and sports is held there. And I think we need some direction if you'd like us to talk about that some more. Jennifer's been really looking into that and doing her homework, so she has something to also report out if you'd like her to.
And I just wonder the feeling of the board. I mean, if Jennifer comes back with a reasonable estimate as what they're coming in with for an estimate, I really feel from what we've heard from the public, not to mention the students and the coaches from over there, and like I said, we've been very lucky so far of not having an accident because of our facility. I really would strongly suggest to the board that we move forward with that track renovation. I mean, it's basically reconstruction, but it's a renovation. We have a track, but we want to make it regulation, and it's got to be all weather.
You know how much that's going to cost?
Well, Jennifer can give you some ballpark.
Well, I would think, President Davis, that I think think that might be premature to make that decision right now. I think we need to have a presentation with regards to that, and then the entire board can digest that information and then make a decision, I would think.
I would concur too, Randy. I think it might be a little bit premature. I think we're all in agreement we do need it. But the other thing that we probably need to consider is our key stakeholder partners and what input we have from the community, from the parents, facilities. I mean, I think that's probably the best avenue we could take, because then we have more input and everybody's on the same page. I don't think there's anybody in this room that doesn't want it. I mean, that I'm aware of. But, I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions, but I think that probably is something we should probably talk about.
Well, I think what we can say is that we would like to task business services and facilities to come up with a proposal, and hopefully by next board meeting, if that's possible. And I don't think we need the I's dotted and the T's crossed, but at least some idea of the extent of the project and the cost. And then we can go from there.
Okay, so what I'm hearing, direction to the superintendent, is to bring back to the board kind of a study on what this project would entail. Are we talking about the Marysville track? Okay, so bring back to the board some kind of a study on what this project would look like, what it would cost us, and have the board do a public discussion, which would actually be the next step. So we're getting a direction, am I right, to go and do a little study and bring it back, yes? Am I hearing correctly? Is that what it is?
So, Dr. Israni, what does that study entail?
I would think that we would need to have some of our facilities group and some of our experts walk through the track, see what needs to be fixed, what are we talking about, the cost associated with the fixed, talk about what would it look like, and then bring some options for discussion with a cost analysis of some of those options.
So does that include the infield of the track? Does that include lighting? Does that include, what all does that include?
So we'll bring you back all the phases of the track, right, the way it is right now, the track itself, the lighting, the entire field. What would a perfect field look like? And then we can have that broken down in various ways. Doug, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so I just wanted to get back to Randy's question was, did we want to wait for PG&E or PBK to finish their results? And the answer to that is we have already kind of started the preliminaries on what the track was going to look like, what we were going to want, kind of like the area that we have for it, what are the lights going to look like, to your point, lane lines, discus, shot put, a long jump, what infield, what is included in that. And I think what we're looking at is, so we look at first step is the track, and I would think that we would want to do the infield as well, just because that's inside of it. And then we start looking at alternate A, alternate B, as far as all the accessories that go along with it. So what that looks like and what the dollar amount is, then we'd have to adjust our findings from there.
Doug, does that go all the way down to the road that comes into the maintenance? Are we looking at that field also as a PE facility where the JV softball diamond is, or are we only looking at the track area itself?
Well, to me personally, I think we keep all options open, because if we're looking at an 8-lane track, we may not be able to fit it where the track is currently located. We have more room if we were to go down to where the softball fields are now, and maybe we turn around and we do the softball facility next to the varsity softball. So I think when we're looking at it, we're just trying to keep all options open and what's available out there.
Thank you.
Any other questions for PBK or the staff? Thank you very much. A very good presentation.
Thank you.
Now we have 18.3, the 2022-23 45-day revised budget update. Jennifer?
Good evening. Good evening, President Davis, fellow trustees, Dr. Asrani, cabinet, and our community members. I'm here tonight to present to you the 45-day revise update. As you know, we came to you in June, you adopted our 22-23 budget prior to the state enacting their budget. So tonight, I'm going to do a recap of the revenue increase, the impact it's going to have on our adopted budget. When we come to you at first interim in December, you'll see all the changes in our entire budget. But as a quick overview, you can see that our LCFF, our main source of fund revenue, with the additional investment of the 6.28% COLA, increases our revenues, along with our transportation increase, about $9.2 million. And then we have some other items, our restricted general fund revenue, some one-time block grants, and our increased revenue for ELOP in the amount of about $29.3 million for a total of $38.5 million. And I'll go into a little more detail about each of these. So the increase to our local control funding formula is about a $6.6 million increase with the 6.28% additional investment. And these funds are intended to help our school districts and charter schools address ongoing fiscal pressures, staffing shortages, and other operational needs. We also have an increase to our home-to-school transportation starting this year of 22-23 that will receive a greater add-on, but that's the COLA, minus the already add-on that we receive of about $1.6 million, or 60% of our reported transportation costs. For us, that equals about $4.1 million increase. The general fund restricted funds that we're due to receive are the one-time block grants, the art, music, and instructional materials discretionary. About $5.7 million is our allocation. And this is based on a per pupil basis of our 21-22 second principal apportionment, ADA. We will have board-approved plan that we'll bring to you for your approval for expenditures, and we have through June 30th of 2026 to spend it. And those allowable uses are for standards-aligned professional development and instructional materials, diverse book collection, and culturally relevant texts in English, pupils' home language, or a combination of both, operational costs, and COVID-19 pandemic-related supplies. We're also going to receive about $16 million in one-time monies for learning recovery. That purpose is to assist school districts with long-term recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. The allocation is based on a 21-22 second principal apportionment ADA multiplied by our 21-22 and duplicated pupil percentage. We have until June 30th of 2028 to spend our money, and those allowable uses are to stabilize our instruction and learning time, pupil supports to address other barriers to learning, decrease or stabilize staff to pupil ratio, instruction for credit deficit students, and additional academic services along with closing learning gaps. We're also going to receive an additional $7.4 million for our expanded learning opportunities program, and some of those changes to the program are they're going to allow carryover of the 22-23 funds to 23-24, and they'll delay the start of the audit of the ELO plan to 2023-24, and some other prorate penalties for not meeting or offering or providing the minimum time requirements. They're just giving us some leeway here to get our plan in place and implement our expanded program. I believe Pete came to you earlier in the year with our plan, so this is giving us more funds towards implementing and serving all our students. And that's it. I don't have an ending slide. Do you have any questions?
Looks like we're getting more money.
We're getting some more one-time money, yes.
Good.
Yes.
I've never seen one that good. I've been at it a while.
Any questions for Jennifer, other than how are we going to do this? With the music program and the arts program, have we already put together a plan for that? Do we have one?
Not yet. We'll be putting
Okay.
one together. We just received all the information from CDE, and so we'll start putting that together, and we'll bring that forward for your approval.
Okay, because I know we've got a lot of excitement about those programs, so it's going to be fun. Any questions from the board? Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Good evening. These are actually the next three that I'm going to be bringing up are our annual procedural resolutions that we bring up annually, and it gives us the ability to basically function during the school years. So this one is the disposal of surplus and worn district property. So just to understand, the first thing we do when we get surplus or material that's no longer needed, we repurpose it, right? So if there's still life left to it, we'll make sure that it gets moved around where it needs to go. Second, if there's residual value that's left with the property, we will auction it and sell it and bring those funds back to the general funds. And then typically what happens is there's no life left to it. We use materials, desks, chairs, all those things until there's nothing left, and then they usually get discarded because they're broken. So this resolution gives us the ability to do that for this school year.
Do we, just as you mentioned, chairs, desks, and all that, do we publish a list that the public could see to, if they're interested in it, or what do we do with this material?
When there's no value left to it, it gets discarded.
Is what?
It gets discarded. It gets taken to recycles and thrown away. So there's no list. When it makes it back to us, 99% of the time that it's broken, wheels are busted, the legs back, and so it just gets thrown away. And per contract code, we would have to bring it to you each and every time we would have something that is no longer usable. And so what this does, it allows us to function. The warehouse picks it up, they do a disposal for them, and we go through our process and we dispose of the material.
Any question?
I might be dating myself, but do we still have that auction for I'm dating myself back to the 80s. It used to sell the old trucks and stuff like that. We still do that.
So probably a couple years back, we used a government auction. So we went to the board and we got that approved. And every once in a while, we will still use that. But this resolution enables us to continue that process. Gotcha. So what's going on right now, when this goes through, we have a van that needs to go through auction process. We also have a school bus, and that will also go through the auction process. And then we take those funds and it goes back in to purchase new ones.
Any other question? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Frank Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Randy Rasmussen. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0. 18.5, approve the resolution 2022-23/3 state contracts.
So this is another one that we bring up every year, and really it just gives us another tool in our arsenal to actually go out and purchase and get the best price we can for our dollars. The big thing about state contracts, the state of California goes out and they negotiate with the actual manufacturers. So if we go buy, let's say we go buy a new vehicle, we know we're getting a contract that has been deliberately negotiated directly with Ford or directly with Chevy, and so they get the absolute best price. And we are able to piggyback off that and use those contracts. If not, we would have to go to the local Ford Center, and then we wouldn't get as good as price if it goes straight back to the manufacturer itself.
Are there any questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6-0, passes. 18.6, approve the resolution 2022-23/4, disposal of obsolete textbooks and instructional materials for the 2022-23 school year.
And this one allows us to, well, first, if we get textbooks that are obsolete, if there's residual value, we will sell those off and bring that money back into the district. Also, state law gives us the ability to donate these back to the community if the community can benefit from the actual textbooks. And if none of those are feasible, then they will go to recyclers.
Are there any questions?
I'm kind of curious why it says on fiscal impact, yes, on this item.
I have no idea.
We didn't hear you.
Under fiscal impact, it says yes. I'm guessing that's a typo.
I think that's an
Okay.
error. I think you should read no. Like as the others, just like the others. Read.
Are there any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford. Is there a second? Second by Derek Criddle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 6 yes, 0 no.
Thank you.
Last item, 18.7, approval of the proposal and the resolution 2022-23/6 with Indoor Environmental Services, IES, to apply for CalShape grant.
So, hello again. IES is our mechanical partner that has done all the HVAC installation for the district. And we wanted to apply for this grant when we first started working with you, but we divested IES from us so that they are their own company now. And this grant requires that the technicians are what's called TAB certified. So we almost didn't pursue this, but luckily Doug got his heels dug in and said, no, let's really look. So we actually found a way to do this with his urgency on getting this. So we are able to get the district 1.3 million, a list over 1.3 million for this phase. The CalShape grant is a grant that is using unspent Prop 39 monies and other monies and allowing us to do indoor air quality and plumbing improvements. So a portion of this will be used to reimburse the district for the cost for the controls, which we did for the project here. And the rest will be a surplus fund for further HVAC repairs and services. Then when this phase of the CalShape grant is closed, there will be a second phase where we'll be able to seek reimbursement for HVAC units that were installed. So thank you, Doug, for being persistent, and it's a great opportunity for the district.
Well, thank you very much. Are there any questions? If not,
Good to be true.
So just, Mrs.
Yeah, it is good. Yes.
Ms. Butler, is there matching funds that the district has to do?
None at all.
Thank you.
any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion approved by Frank Crawford.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe, with lessons, in person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe.